Hello friends, welcome back to Creative Ends platform, a platform for creativity. I want to believe that every one of you that has always been in this platform with me, you've always enjoyed our videos. Yeah, so I welcome you back again to another wonderful video. For today, another interesting video on turban. The video for today is on turban. Don't mind what I'm doing there. I'm actually making a video on turban, and I'll be showing you all the pieces of materials that I'll be using. But the total pieces of material that I use for this, no, the total length of material I used for the project was actually 1 yard. So it was kind of stressful trying to manage the 1 yard. It was stressful. So you just take note of that. So when you are going to do yours, for convenience, for it to be comfortable for you, I would like that you use 1.5 yards. Is that okay? So let's go to the table. So here we are. For today's class, I'll be using about 6 different pieces of this material. By the way, this material is a satin material. Yeah, so the length for these pieces you are seeing is 16, while the width that I have is about 6. So when folded into 2, it will give me 3 inches each. Is that okay? To give me 3 inches. So I have 6 pieces of this. Why? Because I intend to create this V, or should I call it triangular base, and I want to get about 3 steps for it. And for me to get 3 steps, of course, you know, I have to get 3 on one side and get another 3 pieces on the other side. So because of that, I have about 6 pieces. So the first thing I did was to join the first 2 that will create the base where the rest will be resting on, and then I check for the length, you know. And when you are checking for your length, make sure it's not more than 10. That is when you fold it together, it's not more than 10. So when you stretch it, it should be 20. Is that okay? When you fold it together 10, when you stretch 20, so that you have a space where you can either insert the rubber or you want to put handle to enable it to be kind of firm on the head of your client or on your own head. You understand? So you saw how I have crossed it, and you see the finishing of the crossing there. So I have about 3 steps already. I have about 3 steps, and you can see it. This is just what I want to achieve. Now, one very important thing we have to know here is that this very first base that started it, the very first base, is very important that the remaining 2 you are having on top of it is actually connecting with it, so that when you sew it together, you will not lose any part of the base. You understand? So for this now, I have the part I want to use to cover the back or create the covering of the turban. And for this part, I actually have about 22 inches, which is the total length for the head. So I have 22 inches. For me to place it, I actually look at the triangle, the part, that edge there, that determines the center point for the base of the turban. So I will just fold my material into 2 and then place it on that part. After which I can start connecting the rest, pin them, or if possible, I can just take it straight to my sewing machine and then I'll start to sew. But if you know that you can, if you know you don't need to connect with pin, don't bother yourself, just go straight to the sewing machine. But if you know you cannot, please use your pin to secure every part before you go straight to the sewing machine. So right now I want to sew it together. And I have to be conscious of all the parts that needs to join together. You can see that behind what I'm sewing now, I have a lot of excess parts behind, and you see the front. This is just the style I was actually planning on achieving. So for you, if you decide, no, I want about 6, which means you have to use 12. I want 10, you have to use 20. You get me? But you don't need to do it that much because it will become useless. When it's too much, it will not have any meaning. So it will not be beautiful. All right. So right now, what I'm about to do is very important, please. So right now, I want to attach an elastic to the back of this turban. And to do that, this is another method. I have one method before. I will cut a triangular shape of material out. Now, the space I have behind is just about 2 inches that I will need to close. But you know, if you use 2 inches, the elastic will not move. So you can have the base of the triangle that you will cut maybe 6 inches. You understand? And then you cut it in a triangular form so that you can easily attach it to the turban. If you cut it in a square form, it will be difficult for you to attach it to the turban. But when you use a triangular form, as it gets it to the end, as it gets it to the edge of the triangle, it will be easy for you to close it. So this is just what I'm doing. I hope you watched. So I folded the edge, or should I say the base, and then I insert the elastic into it. I told you that the only space I need to fix it is just 2 inches, but I cannot use 2 inches of material since I need elastic. So I'm using 6. Do you get me? So this is how I'll place it. I'll bring my turban and then I'll place it at the edge, the very edge, you understand? Yeah, and then I'll sew it that way. You see how I am doing it? I'll sew it that way. So after sewing, so quickly you see the way I'm fixing it. Yes, you see it. I told you it's a triangular shape. It's in a triangular shape. So you have to make sure that it is resting, get to that edge, and then you sew it. And make sure that the beginning, it follows your edge. There should not be any shift. Then I'll sew it just like you see me sewing now. So when I end that part there, I will bring the other edge of the turban together there, and then I will also sew it. I'll bring the other edge and sew it. So this is the first part that I have sewn. I'll gather the material now. You understand? Because it's meant to be a free zone. This is to allow the turban sit in the head. If you want to avoid attaching handle to it, I've even found a better method of doing it too. I love that method. I'm not sure that I will prefer to open any of my turban just using ordinary, what do I call it now, handle anymore. Because of this new method that I'm doing now, I no longer use handle. On this part where I'm attaching the elastic, I still end up attaching handles on both sides. So after it enters the head comfortably, the handle will be underneath. So when you tie it inside, the handle will be inside. That's what I do now. All right. So I'll sew the second part. I sent in a method of attaching this elastic in one of my videos before, and for that particular one we still have some part of the back opened, but for this style, for this method, no part of the back is going to be opened. No part of the back is going to be opened. So you see it now, it's completely closed. But the idea is just like that. Or even, you know, when we attach just handle, you still have to leave some part of the cap opened. You understand? So it's like that part that we normally leave open now is the part that I'm attaching I'm actually attaching the material now. So you can see how it is looking. See the elasticity underneath here where I'm touching there now. That's the part that allows it to fix into the head properly. You understand? And then this is how the turban will finally look. So I'll just cut off the excess part of the excess elastic, and then secondly I will drag the back together. That is, use my loose thread to gather it together. So this is another part of this turban, because in this part I'll be talking about how I will be designing this turban. And to do that, I cut some pieces of material which measured about 6 inches, and then I folded it, after which I inserted Crinoline. I put Crinoline inside. After putting the Crinoline inside, I took a particular measurement to start cutting it. So the measurement I used to cut was 12 inches. You can do 10, you can do 8, depending on how high you want your bows to be. So this is the Crinoline I'm talking about. This is the Crinoline I'm talking about. So I'll fold 12 inches. You know, the table there has your measurement tape. So 12 inches. And then I'll just use loose stitches. Or if you can sew it, is all right. It's not everybody that will have access to machine. So I believe that this is the only one I actually sewed, because I used the loose stitches to like hold them together, and then I'll still use the same loose stitches to pull it together to make the bow to be should I say coordinated or to stand. Yeah, so I'll still use the same loose stitches. You saw me, I cut out a circle just now. That circle I draft. The circle that I cut out is to allow me, or should I say enable me, arrange this bow in a circular form. So for me to get the circular form, that is what I think and that is what I do. I believe in it. So I create a circular shape, and then I'll start to arrange the bow along that line to create the circular look. But if you feel you can do it without using this method, is perfect, but this method usually comes out very well. And that thing you see me cut there is actually called wording, or we call it breast tube. You understand? So for me to use it, I will use red material, the same material I'm using now, to wrap it first. So after wrapping it, I'll just fix the bow the way you see me fixing now, round the circle. Sometimes when you need to give it a double bow, so after the first round, you can do another round. You understand? All right, so for this particular one, I've started fixing because I'm done wrapping the circular shape I cut out. So I'm done wrapping it, and then I've started fixing now. I actually decide for this method because, you know, if you are going to arrange this bowl directly on the turban, it will not, what do I say now? It will not be really ideal. It will make your work to be a kind of a rough work, which you will not like. So for me, I prefer, let me just finish doing all the rough work on this particular piece I have here, and let me see the final outlook of what I have prepared, just like you can see it now. And then I'll bring down my turban and sew it to it. With this particular method, my sewing will be kind of limited or reduced. This is because the shape is already there. All I need is a simple tack for me to just like put it in place in the turban. Is that okay? So this is how it will look. I will simply sew it together. I will use the same thread and needle and connect. Okay, something that is very important that I think might be beneficial to you is the fact that while sewing this the design to the turban, I will want to advise that when your thread go down, this is just a clip, so please overlook it. When your thread goes down, make sure it comes up from the same point it went down, so that you avoid having a thread underneath your turban. You know, I don't like that. Allow your rough work to be on top. This is because you see the part that we are using on top there. You can have roses placed on it. You can have ruffles placed on it. You can have brooch placed on it, just to give it a good finishing. Is that okay? So there's no way I'm just going to leave that part open that way. So every movement I want to make, I'll be making it outside, not underneath it. I'll be making it on top. So all the rough work of the thread moving from one bow to the other will be done on the top. So you can see the thread on the top, but underneath it, you shouldn't see it, because this thread on the top will be covered. it must be covered. For the finishing of this work, I actually used ruffles. For the finishing of this work, I used ruffles. I did a little piece of ruffles which I used to cover that part, and then add a little brooch to it for embellishment. Is that okay? All right, so I think this is all I need to explain in this video. So this is one method I use in designing my turban, or should I say satin turban. Is that okay? So this is one method of my design. I do hope you enjoyed the tutorials. I will see you in my next video, which will be coming up shortly. Yeah, thank you so much. So if you are yet to subscribe to my channel and you love what you have just watched, I beg you, please subscribe. It will not cost you anything. It's just a way of telling YouTube that you love what I am doing. So you can see the finishing. Every part is perfect. Every part is perfect. Every part is perfect. Look underneath. You cannot really see the thread, though you can notice the movement, but the roughness of the thread is not there. You understand? So you always try to do that, and you can see the back. Like I told you before, I'm going to drag the back together. I'm going to use loose stitches to bring the back together, so you can see the inside now. Though you can see there's no thread. That's just what I want to show to you. All right, do have a nice day. I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.